Hi, young scientists. It's Mr. Ken of Simple Science, and I want to welcome you today to Wednesday's challenge. You may recall yesterday that we were looking into what measurement was all about. Well, we're going to put those skills to use today to do a little experiment which is going to prepare us later this week for cookie making. So we're not going to use real dough, we're going to use PlayDough. And we're going to practice measuring things out and seeing how certain variables affect other variables. And we'll get more into that as the week goes on. So I've got a fresh quantity of PlayDough, so it's not dried out or anything. And what we're going to do is take a small quantity of it, and you probably already noticed I said the word small. And most of you are saying, well, how small? Well, that's where measurement comes into play. So we're going to take a measured amount. I'm happening to use 1 teaspoon because I have this handy teaspoon measurer. You can use a little more or a little less as long as you're using the same amount each time, because we're going to want to make a fair comparison. So I'm just going to use this plastic knife to take out a little bit of Play-Doh. I'm going to approximate how much I need to fit into my tablespoon. So I'll just push it in there. And oh, I was a pretty good approximator. So I've got that set up. Got a little bit of extra which I shall shave off. Alrighty. And now I've got my set amount. I'm going to take it out of my measuring, and I'm going to turn it into a sphere as best as I can. Okay. I decided I wanted to use a surface that wouldn't stick, so I just have a little bit of aluminum foil, and I'm going to place my sphere of Play-Doh on there. And my goal is to squish it into more of a cookie shape. And I'm going to do that with just the weight of this container. Now, I'm really fortunate. I have this container that's almost a perfect cylinder. I took my ruler and I measured it. It was 14 centimeters tall, so I made a little mark, and just to help you see them a little bit better, I made a little mark with a Sharpie every 2 centimeters, and you can see it looks very regular. The first test or first trial is going to be just the empty container and just the weight of that sitting on my pretend cookie dough. And I'm just going to balance it there. I'm not going to press it. And you can see my sphere got a little bit compressed. It looks a little squashed, but not cookie shaped yet. So what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to have you do actually, is similarly, I'm going to just fill water in here to the first line. And I'm going to do the same procedure again. And I'm going to keep doing that until I finally press this dough into something that reminds me an awful lot of a cookie. Now, you may not have a really great container like this. That's all right. A jar like this is fine. Again, it's mostly a cylinder. It has enough height, and you can make marks on that one just the same way I did on this one. You could even use a container that's a little bit more square. Obviously, it starts to taper off at the top, but until you get to this point, they would be equal measurements. This one may not be heavy enough, you might not have enough room, but it's still great because it's a nice cylinder. This one might not work as well, but because it's not a perfect cylinder, but you may notice it has measurements on there for you. So they're not perfectly like a ruler, because as this gets taller, it gets wider. But the markings do tell you how much water you're putting in. So if you use those markings, you're okay also. So something that you have at home, don't go out and buy something new. Just adapt something that you have home. And again, your goal, after you've set up your materials, is to find how much water you have to put in your container to press on the dough, so you're compressing it until it flattens out like a cookie. And again, just balance the container. Don't actually use your hand to press down on it. And what you may wish to do is set up a little chart. On your chart, you can have no water in your jar, and you could even do a drawing of what your cookie looks like. And you can take your ruler then and measure how much it did compress. In other words, how wide did your cookie get? You could do that again for your first mark. Fill it up with water, and it's going to press it a little bit more. You could do a little drawing again to show what's happening to your cookie and measure how wide it's getting. Keep doing that until you are satisfied that your pretend dough looks like the shape of a cookie. Now, some of us might like really flat cookies, and that's okay. Some of you may like a cookie that's a little bit thicker. That's okay too. You get to decide that. But you need to do at least 3 steps. So don't just stop at 1 or 2. Do at least 3 steps so that you have enough data that we can work with later. Anyway, good luck, have fun, and check in again tomorrow. Thank you, Mary, for being my assistant and helping me video this, and look forward to hearing from you. Be sure to post a comment or a question, and we'll be in touch again soon. Keep experimenting.